Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Decker Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. Now, House was alright as a horror comedy, and it did well enough at the box office, so it should come as no surprise to anybody that the very next year, House 2 would hit theaters. Written and directed by Ethan Wiley, the writer of the screenplay for House, House 2 completely abandons the characters, creatures, and even the very house from the first movie, instead following a generic batch of characters into a series of events derived from distinctive time periods. As a matter of fact, I'd venture to say the fact that Ethan was still on board was probably the only thing this movie had to do with the last one. But, never mind. Without further ado, let's see if the foundation can hold it all together. Well, right at the title, we see that obviously a crystal skull will be a major item involved in this movie's plot. Oh goody! No movie involving a crystal skull has ever made me want to gouge my eyes out with harpoons. We see a young couple hand off their infant to another, and before you know it, the big baddie of this film shows up.
I want the skull.
What the hell? Claw?
Give me the skull. I'll be back.
Yeah, that's the work of Frank Welker, who also worked on the Inspector Gadget cartoons. Before this movie, so yeah, the ghost has the voice of Claw, not the other way around. Predictably, he kills both of them, and we suddenly skip 2.5 decades later to when the baby is full grown, and moving back into the very house his parents were killed in.
Oh, it's big, isn't it?
Yep.
How did he find out about it? Or get the money to buy it? Or what happened to his foster parents? None of these questions will be answered, so let's just move on. He and his wife, or girlfriend, it's never specified, well, they spend a little time there and make themselves at home, before all of a sudden... one of those characters they introduce that's so annoying that you just hope that somewhere in this horror movie they're going to die painfully. But this introduces us to Charlie and his miscellaneous relationship, Lana, who happens to be friends of Jesse, I guess. Yeah, they never explain their relationships. Charlie has some motivation, though, as we see him turn on...
That I'd be taken up to hyperspace. It seems so strange.
a fucking horrible song.
And then you move right.
Excuse me! What is this you're playing?
That's Puce Glitz and the Avoiders.
Puce Glitz?
Putes Glitz? Yeah, the name is almost as disgusting as the music. And it's so hard, Kate runs away and...
I think I may have found what we're looking for.
Are you fucking kidding me? What the hell were you looking for? But none of this actually matters, as Charlie finds Jesse in the basement researching old family records, which happen to include lots of stuff about a crystal skull.
It's my great-great-grandfather. He has the same name as me. He was an outlaw in the Old West. I know.
I buy that.
Yeah, look at the skull he's holding. It's made completely out of rock crystal.
The skull in question evidently was buried with Jesse's great-great-grandfather Jesse, so... Really? Who? What? How do you explain somebody just moments after learning about their family members deciding to just, go and dig them up? I mean, maybe if he had been planning on doing this for months ahead of time, it might make sense, but that's never elaborated on. The two of them have no trouble whatsoever retrieving the entire coffin from the pit, and somewhat surprisingly, they find the crystal skull only 16 minutes into the movie. That was easy. That's more like it. But of course, they quickly defuse the situation with diplomacy.
It's me! I'm your great-great-grandson!
And this introduces us to Jesse's great-great-grandfather Jesse, played by some guy named Royal Dano who holds them up with a Smith & Wesson.
Ah, you're talking about Royal Dano. He was one of those popular extra actors they had in a lot of those TV series from the 60s. Western series like Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Rawhide. He even made an appearance in my favorite, Have Gun Will Travel. He also holds the distinction of being one of the few men to be in movies of both John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. That's right, he appeared in both The Undefeated and Cahill U.S. Marshal with John Wayne, And he's in the bar scene towards the end of The Outlaw Josie Wales. Dano had that very authentic cowboy look. Probably one of the high points of his career was when he appeared in the Western miniseries How the West Was Won. Can't say too much about it as I haven't seen it, but I know the movie it's based on from the early 60s is really good.
Okay, great. How do you know that? Who are you?
Well, how do I know? I know because I'm Big Black Hat Man. You know, Big Black Hat Man from Manic Expression. I talk about Westerns. I have a nice blog called Support Your Classic Westerns where I write about Westerns. And I do a show called Western Thought, all about Westerns. Haven't you heard of me? I mean, we work on the same website. You don't know who I am? Oh. Interesting. Huh. Oh. You know, I'm the Western guy, Big Black Hat Man. You can find me. Okay? You know now?
Okay.
Oh, by the way though, that gun, it's just a basic Colt Peacemaker. Colt 45, very popular gun in the Old West. Made a lot. That model looks like it's probably from the later part of the century, definitely after the 1876 remake of the gun. Just helping you out there. It's an easy catch, it really is.
Anyway, back to the movie. After digging up the mummified, decrepit old man, they immediately...
Well, there she is.
Yeah, no reason to find out anything about the guy at all, or even warn your obligatory female that you're bringing home an old dead guy. Of course, you know, they make like they keep him hidden from her, but do you really think that she wouldn't notice the smell? So he places the skull in the house's built-in altar and offers a few words of warning.
The forces of evil are always after this skull, and you gotta help me to protect it. So don't let no one touch the dang thing, you hear?
Then wouldn't it be a little better to, I don't know, lock the skull up somewhere a little safer than a shelf next to the goddamn front door? And it turns out, while the magic of the skull kept him alive, he had no idea he would age so poorly while underground for 70 years.
Well, I ain't gonna die if it's the last thing I do.
Well, if you did, then it would, because you couldn't... But Charlie sneaks off behind Jesse's back to help Gramps feel a little better.
You know, they were clearer back in the old days.
Wait, no, Gramps! It's the ozone! I mean...
No. Ozone depletion has nothing to do with why the stars appear dimmer today. It's not pollution. It's the fact that in cities there's so much ambient light that just kind of in contrast the stars don't appear as bright today. But, you know, out in the boondocks they appear as bright as they ever did. What? Is this going to be a running joke? Could they at least have picked something, you know, funny? And the next morning, John shows up, played by Bill Maher. Bill Maher! In a haunted house movie. And good luck trying to convince him of the supernatural when it rears its ugly head. And it turns out he's here to meet Lana and listen to her demo tape. You might think this scene actually leads somewhere, but we don't even hear that song for the entire rest of the movie. Thank God. But now that they're gone, the boys gather in the basement, and we get a strange scene of the three of them bonding as Gramps tells stories of the Old West. But out of the blue, they hear something.
Sounds like music.
I invited some people over for Halloween! I forgot!
Why even bother trying to explain this scene? I mean, after all...
Long time no see.
They never bother to explain what kind of relationship these two have had. I mean, I assume she's an ex-girlfriend, but why they've broken up, or even when, it's never elaborated on. And just as randomly, we are introduced to a huge hulking barbarian heading in to crash the party. Interesting note, that's Kane Hodder, the stunt coordinator from House, and later in his career, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th 7, 8, 9, and 10. Jealous much, Gus? And obviously, with the only resistance being a decrepit old man, the Barbarian has no difficulty whatsoever in stealing the crystal skull. And yeah, Jesse's female thing doesn't seem to like his other female thing, even though she hasn't seen him do anything with her, so I don't fucking know. Jesse and Charlie pursue the thief upstairs and find something very strange.
Charlie, there's a jungle in there.
Okay, I'd say you're gonna have to seriously consider contacting a spiritual advisor.
This is a machine gun!
Or just get a big fucking gun. Why not? So they enter, waste all their ammunition on nothing, and continue onward. This is when the movie really starts to make a drastic departure from horror into adventure, but at least they did a better job with it than Evil Bong 2 did.
It reminds me of those ancient ruins that your father showed me once. It's the work of the Poon Tang tribe.
They find the skull without much difficulty, but... yeah, somehow in the last 20 seconds they forgot he was in there too. It finally looks like Charlie's going to die, but unfortunately... What the fuck was that? The Rancor from Star Wars? But it's not over yet, as the two of them cheer like idiots and end up causing the scene to be even longer. And of course, in the time it takes Jesse to climb up there, the eggs have already hatched to provide another random obstacle. Well, at least it's not as bad as Requiem, otherwise they'd have a full-grown pterodactyl to worry about. Never mind. And down he goes, smashing through the ground into the basement.
Why didn't you use the stairs?
Sorry, but at that height, it still would have done a lot more damage. But it looks like they brought something back with them. Are you kidding me? A dogger pillar? Was Ethan high when he wrote this? And we get a zany chase around the dining room, with the baby pterodactyl still running around with the crystal skull for some strange reason. But Bill Maher is suspicious of the noise and closes in, right when Gramps comes up to make the scene even more zany.
Aha! And what might be in that closet there? They want an explanation, I'm gonna give them one. All right, now listen. My great-great-grandfather. He's dead, but he's alive. And that's who's in there for your information, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
This turn of events causes Jesse to lose his miscellaneous female, and Charlie to lose his as well, for some reason, and the whole rest of the cast exits the movie, never to be seen again.
Shame on you, Jesse.
Fuck you, Bill Maher!
And just what the fuck happened in the pantry?
Watch this.
Why the fuck would you do that?
And I was just hankering to play a joke on somebody, and
You supernatural asshole! But now that all that is taken care of, Gramps heads off alone to put the skull back in its easily attainable, unguarded position. Are you stupid? You know someone's just going to... That... Jesse doesn't bother checking on Gramps until the next morning and finds him in rough shape.
they bushwhacked me. It must have been 30, 40 of them.
Actually, if that were true, I'd say he's in pretty damn good shape. And before we can get anywhere with this, Bill the Electrician shows up, played by John Ratzenberger of Cheers fame. Though actually, I'm pretty sure this generation probably knows him better from his voice acting in Pixar movies. And John gives a good performance, but the jokes scripted in this point are admittedly half-assed.
You just gotta teach him who's boss. You know, sort of give him a spanking. Must be foreign made.
Jesse and Charlie forgo the guns this round and get a couple of swords from somewhere, and make to enter the next game level via the fireplace. However, they are interrupted by John.
Oh, scared you, huh? Listen, fellas, we got a little problem in the other room. I think you better come have a look. Looks like you got some kind of alternate universe in there or something.
The fuck?
I've been through this kind of thing before. Just don't touch anything till I get there.
Alright, fuck it. The Electrician has a sword too. A matching sword. Fuck it, whatever. Yeah, go with it, sure, why not? The three of them find the skull in a set highly reminiscent of Indiana Jones and find a young lady about to be sacrificed.
Now, is she a virgin? Because I've never seen one before.
Because, once a woman has sex, she's no longer worth killing. And furthermore, that's Devin Vasquez. Not only was she 24 years old at the time of this movie's release, but her previous works include Playboy Video Magazine Volume 8 and Playboy Playmate Playoffs. So, sorry miscellaneous Mesoamerican culture, you're gonna have to find yourself another virgin. Oh, you stay the hell away from me! And as I have a habit of reviewing specific action sequences, I'll rate this one as... dumb. They get the skull back a hell of a lot faster from this leftover studio set, and John somehow teleported back to the house before them. How? Why not?
If you need any more work done, just give me a call there, huh? Take care, Charlie. See ya.
Why not? And now that nothing is settled, because we all know the big bad guy from the intro hasn't so much as breathed on the movie since then, everyone sits down for a nice relaxing meal. Oh, I can't imagine what could go wrong here. Oh, wait, yeah, I can. So Claw rises up and establishes we're finally getting what this movie randomly passes as a climax, or Act 3, shooting Gramps, kidnapping the Playboy Virgin, and escaping with the skull. Hey, wait a minute. The skull grants immortality, right? And that's why Gramps is still alive after 170 years. Claw, Slim, never got the skull, and he's the same age as Gramps. How the fuck is he still kicking? And if he can survive immortally without the skull, why the fuck does he want it so bad? And thus we are given our last set piece, one of the more predictable things in this film. After the jungle and a temple, we're finally given the Wild West Showdown.
Oh my god.
Please kill him. Please kill him. But Claw does show up, and we get a pretty nice, if somewhat confusing and unprofessional, shootout. Finding himself back in the house, out of nowhere the police surround the place. It wasn't funny the first 2 times. Ignoring them, Jesse takes out Slim with a triple headshot.
Get you next time, Gadget. That's a good boy.
Yeah, never mind what happened to Playboy Virgin or Charlie. Especially Charlie, who was an asshole. But even with the skull, the wounds are too great, and Gramps dies in Jesse's arms. I think. It's kinda hard to tell with him. But, oh yeah, the police are out there, and now that it's been peaceful for at least 5 minutes, they decide to open fire on the place. Well shit, why don't they just blow the place up? Close enough. So Jesse leisurely strolls through the burning building, taking Gramps, the pterodactyl chick, and Dogger Pillar through a conveniently appearing door of pure light to the ending of this movie. Oh, son of a bitch, he lived. And that's it! Back in the Wild West, Jesse sets out with his friend, new miscellaneous female who can't speak English, and monster pets into the horizon. And all that crap in the beginning with the girls, the terrible music, and Bill Maher. Completely fucking pointless. Well, that was House 2, and it's not horrible. Is it as good as the first? Well, honestly, that's comparing apples to oranges, as these two films have next to nothing in common with one another, but I'll try to elaborate on how this one was. First off, the acting overall is simply marginal. Nobody gives any real standout performances outside of Ratzenberger, whose role is terribly small. But I can't blame the actors themselves too much, as the characters are barely even characters. They have names and sometimes relationships, but even that gets a little sketchy. And the plot is ridiculous. Most of the supernatural phenomena in this film does follow a logical pattern, but the writing is completely insane, pulling out events and changing the character focus with reckless abandon. Almost none of this movie is related to any other part within it. It's just a hodgepodge of random scenes that might as well happen in any order. The sets, though, are admittedly nice and impressive in a general haunted house movie. I mean, you don't expect to see 3 vastly different locations in such a film. You expect parts of the house to be strange, but still be recognizably in the house. Special effects are somewhat less impressive than the first, but they're still reasonable. Overall, House 2 is fucking insane and has practically no relation at all to the first film, but does hold together some decent entertainment value, and I'd rate it a 3 random things the writer pulls out of his ass out of 5. Yes, like the first, 3 out of 5, but for very different reasons, as they are very different movies. Thank you all for watching. I've been Shado, and remember, if you find a Playboy model that happens to be a virgin, you're probably in an alternate dimension.
Keep coming and coming and coming. Where the hell they all coming from anyhow? Heck, I broke it.